Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. We are talking about a new plan by the White House to send up to 120,000 troops to Iran, according to the New York Times. We'll take a look at the latest on the investigation of the Russian investigation done by William Barr. A draconian Trump plan stopped. Talk about a little North Korea and Connecticut news, as well as Israel spying on us with a WhatsApp. What is this? We're going to take a look at it on today's episode of The Wake Up. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Spencer Walsh. Let's get right into it here today because we got a lot of stuff to get to. So, all right. So, Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan presented an updated plan to Trump's top national security aides that potentially sends as many as 120,000 troops to the Middle East if Iran attacks U.S. forces or accelerates its work on nuclear weapons. So yeah, pretty much the deal that the USA violated, the deal the USA broke out of, they're going to punish them here for breaking, which I find to be pretty much hilarious and frankly very scary. That's a huge escalation. Up to 120,000 troops sent there is absolutely absurd that this is happening, and it should be very scary, I think, to all of us, because like it's not going to stop. So yeah, if the U.S. attacks its forces or accelerates its work on nuclear weapons, that's what we're seeing here right now. So, National Security Advisor John Bolton ordered Shanahan to update the plan, which was presented at a meeting last week and does not call for a full land invasion of Iran. So, not yet, anyway, guys. So that's all cool, well and good. But the thing is, this is John Bolton. Like, this is the man who we always knew was in the White House, and something that, we heard last week, people like Rachel Maddow come out there sympathizing with John Bolton. Now we see, like, this is what we get when we get John Bolton. Like, this is the truth there on this front. So deploying 120,000 troops was reportedly the uppermost option of the plan, and it was estimated to take weeks or months to execute. While the plan was presented, it was not clear if Trump was briefed on the plan's details or if he would support it. And I think he's going to support anything that people like John Bolton tell him to do. Like, keep in mind, I know there's going to be a lot of kind of shushing down on this, like say, oh, no, it wasn't a big deal. We never really planned to do it. Like, no, but every single little piece of evidence points that John Bolton and other people around John Bolton that work in his White House as national security people have been working for this for years. John Bolton coming out saying there would be regime change soon in Iran, or Iraq. Like, Iran would be the correct one there. It's just like, he said that like in a speech like last year. Like, everything, the monetary ties between these people, between like the people who want to see the current government of Iran ousted and others, like that is, it's such a big change. It's such a big jump there that it is not even, it's like jumping really from, it's just pretty much not a big jump. Like, there is such a big amount of ties to them. Like, you're gonna see the policy enacted. You just are. So it's very scary. So while the plan was presented, again, we don't know if Trump would support it, and I think he would support anything that Shanahan and Joseph Dunford and all those people, John Bolton, they tell him to. So the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joseph Dunford, reportedly declined to comment. General Marquise, a national security spokesman, told the newspaper Monday that the U.S. did not seek war with Iran, but said the administration would be ready to defend U.S. personnel and interests in the region. The troop figure, $120,000, would approach the number deployed when the U.S. invaded Iraq in 2003. The Times reports when Trump was asked if he wanted to see regime change in Iran. He told reporters Monday that he'll see what happens in the country. If they do anything, it would be a very bad mistake. So pretty much like literally what they have every, in my opinion, they have every right. If you're thinking about it from their perspective, sure, as Americans, we don't want them to build nukes. But if we think about it from their perspective, they have literally every right to go ahead and build this, because the U.S. were the ones that violated the deal. Like, the U.S. were the ones that, from Iran's perspective, broke out of this deal and said, okay, we're enough. We're not doing this anymore. So how in the world are we expecting them to not push any, like, to not act in their own self-defense? Like, the point is here, we are just dying for excuse for another Middle Eastern war, another opportunity for the defense contractors who all have very close monetary ties to Trump's White House, or some of them, they're even in Trump's White House. Like, they're begging, spoiling for war here, and this threat slash like pushover, like they're trying to like to float it by the public, see how we like it, but also again, I think it serves two purposes: a threat to Iran's government. Like it is going to be a real tough thing to handle in the future. Like it's very scary that this is being considered, this is being floated around, and I just don't like it at all. I hope the public reaction is strong enough that they fully get the message that this is just not going to be okay, not going to be acceptable at all whatsoever. All right, so anyway, Saudi Arabia rang alarm bells this week with claims that two of its oil tankers were sabotaged and sustained significant damage, but now questions are being asked after satellite images showed the vessels had no visible damage. Details of the alleged attacks on two Saudi and one Norwegian and one Emirati oil tankers on Sunday are still pretty much hazy. One U.S. official told the AP that the U.S. military believes Iran or Iranian allies used explosives to blow holes in the ships, but the scale of alleged sabotage is far from clear. Video showed one Saudi tanker still afloat with no apparent damage, and the satellite images proved to the AP, provided to the AP anyway, showed no visible major damage from above. The suspicion that Iran was behind the alleged attacks already stoked tensions in the Middle East and beyond. Asked at the White House about the incident Monday, President Donald Trump said it's going to be a bad problem for Iran if something happens. Talking like a 5-year-old, it's going to be a bad problem for Iran. Like, Jesus, like I mean, I know this is not really a big deal, but he just talks like he's an idiot. It's like it's funny and horrifying at the same time. Anyway, Attorney General William Barr, he has assigned a federal prosecutor to examine the origin of the Russian investigation. New York Times reports John Durham, the U.S. Attorney General in Connecticut, or U.S. Attorney in Connecticut, I don't know if they're called generals, but was reportedly tapped to look into how the probe, which culminated in the release of special counsel Robert Mueller's report, started in the first place. Trump has called for this investigation many times, so of course William Barr is going to be right there, nice and quick. President Trump has called for this investigation, claiming the probe was a legal takedown that failed, and proclaiming that somebody is going to be looking at the other side. A spokesman for Durham and the Justice Department declined to comment, but Durham has conducted special investigations for both sides of the aisle in years past. According to the Times, he looked at the FBI's handling of the informant Whitey Bulger in 1999 and investigated the CIA's destruction of tapes showing torture of terror suspects in 2005. Durham's probe will be the third investigation into the Russian investigation of origins, with Mueller claimed in his report were instigated on legitimate grounds. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see him find the same conclusion that Mueller did as well. So it looks like he seems to be a pretty honest actor, though. So I mean, if you're gonna do a stupid investigation, at least give it to an honest guy. And it looks like William Barr has done it here, luckily enough. So anyway, all right, this is an interesting and horrifying story, kind of the theme of today's show. A secret White House plan to arrest thousands of migrant parents and children in 10 U.S. cities was thwarted by resistance from officials who have since been ousted, said the Washington Post. The plan was to reportedly pushed by a senior Trump advisor, Stephen Miller, and was intended to be a show of force against families. Yeah, just force those families. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Stephen Miller's a sick, twisted mind. So anyway, Stephen Miller tried to do was show force against these families who cross the U.S.-Mexico border after Trump's zero-tolerance policy persecution pushed into the night. But then Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen and former top immigration enforcement official Ronald Vitello, both of whom have since left, put the brakes on it, expressing concerns there wasn't time to prepare immigration agents, and the public would be outraged by the plan. The arrests were reportedly planned for New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and as many as 10,000 migrants would be targeted. There was concern that it was being hastily put together, it would be ineffective, and might actually backfire by misdirecting resources away from the critical border emergency response operations. So, yeah, I'm glad they stopped that, but still, the fact it was being considered is horrifying. All right, here's a crazy story. Israel, vulnerability in WhatsApp messaging app let attackers install Israeli spyware into iPhones and Androids. through its call function, the Financial Times reports. A source told the newspaper that WhatsApp is working to fix the loophole as late as Sunday, and it said it was too early in the company's investigation to determine how many devices were affected. A fix was released by the app on Monday, and reportedly the company notified the Justice Department of the attack last week. The attack has all the hallmarks of a private company known to work with governments to deliver spyware that reportedly takes over the functions of mobile phone operating systems. The company said it's pretty crazy that this was Israel here. The software was reportedly developed by an Israeli company, NSO Group, whose flagship product can turn on phones, microphone, camera, and trawl through emails, messages, and collect location data. In a statement, NSO Group said its technology was solely operated by intelligence and law enforcement agencies and would not target any individuals or groups in its own right. Researchers previously concluded the NSO Group software was used to spy on Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi's phone before he was murdered. So that just shows you the kind of not so savory people that use that, but sick puppies, as our president would say, that use the NSO software spying system. It's not good, not at all. All right, anyway, for our sixth story today, Connecticut mosque fire has been apparently intentionally set, says a fire chief. A raging fire that caused considerable damage to the first and second floors of Connecticut Mosque was started on purpose, officials say. The Dianet Mosque in New Haven was set on fire Sunday afternoon. No injuries were reported, but a man was inside the building as it went up in flames. Local authorities are now treating it as arson, with New Haven Fire Chief John Allison saying, "We've detected that there is intent in this fire, so intentionally set." Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont said, "A hate-fueled attack against a religious institution, any religion, is disgusting and appalling. There's no place for it in our state or our nation." No arrests have been made. A $2,500 reward for information is being offered, and the building is unsafe for inhabitants, particularly below during the holy month of Ramadan. But some artifacts were recovered in this time of their season of religious worship. Our hearts go out to them. Very sad story, and it's not something you want to see happen in a country where, like, religious hatred and hatred against the Islamic race, or not the Islamic, the Islamic religion continues to go up and up and up and up. It's really disturbing. It's definitely tough to see that this is just a continuing and prevalent problem in our country today, and it really is. It really is. Like, the miseducation about this, it's not cool. All right. Anyway, North Korea has called the U.S. seizure of its cargo ship last year an unlawful robbery and demanded it be returned, the Associated Press reports. U.S. officials first detained Wise Honest, which was reportedly used to transport banned coal exports, in April 2018 as the vessel headed towards Indonesia. On Saturday, the ship arrived at American Samoa, U.S. territory in the South Central Pacific, and an unnamed foreign ministry spokesman accused the U.S. of violating the spirit of an agreement made between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during the 2018 Singapore summit, where both parties favored a nuclear-free Korean peninsula and vowed to work towards bilateral ties. Their second meeting in Hanoi in February deteriorated, as we know, when neither could agree on sanctions relief or disarmament. Pretty crazy stuff in the Marianas Trench, as a man just made the deepest dive ever by a human inside a submarine, only to make the troubling discovery of plastic trash resting on the ocean floor. Victor Vescovo, a retired naval officer who is now an investor, made the descent into Pacific Ocean's Mariana Trench on Monday and traveled 35,853 feet from the surface, 52 feet lower than the previous record, which has been held since 1960. He found the man-made material on the ocean floor, which he believes to be plastic, and as an object's now undergoing tests to confirm that. It was the third time humans have managed to dive to the deepest point in the ocean. Director James Cameron was the last to visit in 2012 in his submarine, reaching a depth of 35,787 feet. All right. Rough moment for Bill de Blasio. He held an event in the New York City for the New York City Green New Deal on Monday at a puzzling location, the entryway of Trump's tower. The Washington Post reports the New York City mayor is expected to sign a 2020 bid in the near future, probably may be running even. I don't know about that. Suggesting he was giving a public warning to Trump's family for failing to cut greenhouse gas emissions, but if choice of location quickly turned problematic with the pro-Trump 2020 protesters showing up with signs that read "Fail Mayor" and Trump 2020 as he delivered his speech. The